People are not achieving the results they have the absolute potential to achieve due to this one thing. And I have worked with the hundreds of women and I speak to people on daily basis about their struggles and obstacles when it comes to making progress. And I hear this one thing over and over again. If you're tired of seeing little progress despite your effort at the gym, consistency might be the missing ingredient. Hi, friends, welcome back to the Transform with MG podcast, where we'll talk all things transforming your health, body, and mindset. I'm your host, Martina Gutt. It's not about going all out for a week or two and then slacking it off. It's about showing up regularly, putting in the work, and gradually improving over time. Consistency not only helps you reach your fitness goals, but also boost your mood and energy levels. Look, I completely get it. Life is busy, okay? We all have things going on, and it is really easy to let the gym time slip through the cracks. Maybe you struggle with finding the motivation, or you feel overwhelmed by the conflicting advice on the best workout routines, or perhaps you're juggling work, family life, or other important priorities and commitments. The challenges are very common, but they are not something that cannot be solved. And this episode is exactly here to help you overcome the challenges you have in terms of building a consistent routine. And I want to share practical tips and strategies to keep you in a consistent routine so you can finally see the results you've been working so hard for. We're going to talk about 4 key areas, and that is setting clear goals, creating a realistic routine, finding the right motivation, and building habits. So let's get into them. First of all, you want to understand what is your main objective. Take a moment to think why you're hitting the gym in the first place, why you undergoing this diet, why you starting this exercise regime. Do you want to lose weight, build muscle, or simply improve your overall health? Clarifying your goals will give you a plan and roadmap to follow so that you know where you're going. You cannot be pissed off about not achieving a result if you don't even know yourself what you want to achieve. So this is the first step in order to achieve consistency. You need to know where you're going. Once you have figured out what is your big overall goal, now you want to break that into smaller milestones. These short-term goals will keep you motivated and focused along the way, while your long-term goals provide you with like the ultimate target to aim for. It doesn't really matter what your long-term goal is. You can still break it down into smaller objectives, because if you have this big overall goal, and you should set ambitious goals, you should set big goals, you're more than able for them. But when you do that, it can feel really overwhelming. And if you try to achieve that right away without actually breaking it into how you're going to get there and what milestones you have along the way to hit them, then you might feel like you fail and you might quickly give up on yourself. But once you have figured out those long-term and short-term objectives and goals, then you want to track your progress, because what gets measured can be improved. And if you aren't keeping track of your progress, then how can you identify what is actually working and what needs improving? This is why it's important to keep a journal, take progress pictures, or use fitness apps to monitor your workouts, measurements, and improvement. Seeing how far you've come will not only keep you motivated, but will also help you make adjustments to your routine as needed. Once you have completed the first steps in terms of setting goals, now you want to create a realistic routine. So you got to assess your time and resources. Take a look at your schedule and figure out when you can realistically fit in your workouts, when you can sit down to plan out your meals, when you can go and get your groceries done, when are you going to meal prep. You kind of have to see what is available to you. When it comes to working out, is that going to be before work or during your lunch break or in the evening times? Find a time that works best for you. And you also have to consider the resources you have available. Do you have access to the gym? Like, how far is the gym? Will it require you to commute? Do you have enough available time in your day to make that commute? Or will you be working out from home? Or will you be joining exercise classes and having a look at the timetable to see whether that aligns with your schedule? You need to take yourself out of it first and have a bird's eye view on how things are looking for you on daily basis and where you can fit them. It's all well and good going on Instagram or TikTok and taking advice of a 20-year-old saying that, you should be working out 6 times a week, which I don't. But, myself as somebody that doesn't have commitments such as family, kids, specific like work that I need to be there for a certain times, like working for myself, like it's all well and good for me to say just work out whenever you want to, but that isn't the case for everybody. So just because one person has that time available to be able to do that, that does not mean it's realistic for you. But it also doesn't mean that you won't be able to achieve freaking tremendous results. It's just about finding out where in the day you can fit in things that are going to be aligned with your goals and get you closer to your goal. Second thing is finding optimal workout times. Okay, so not only do you want to assess your time, but you also want to assess your energy. So pay attention to when you feel most energized and motivated to exercise. For some people that is going to be early in the mornings. They're the early birds and prefer morning workouts, while others are night owls and thrive on evening sessions. Find what works best for you and make that your designated gym time, exercise time, and work with your body clock as opposed to against it. For many people, exercising first thing in the morning might actually be the only time that they can fit in the workout because their day-to-day schedule doesn't allow them to do it in the evening, whereas for others it might be completely different. Assess where you find yourself you have most energy. Third thing is to plan in rest days. Okay, one of the biggest mistakes that I often see people actually just starting out on their fitness journeys and struggling with that consistency is not giving themselves enough rest. And rest is just as important as exercise when it comes to reaching your fitness goals. You got to schedule in regular days to allow your body to recover and prevent burnout or injury. It's actually very easy to set yourself a goal that you're going to work out 7 days a week and do it for a week or two, but it's not sustainable for most people, especially with other priorities and commitments, and it's absolutely not necessary. This is a mistake that I've actually done in the past because I believe that more is better. So I assumed that doing more exercise is actually going to get me a better result, whereas in fact there is a point of diminishing returns. It's only as beneficial to a certain point before it actually starts becoming detrimental to your overall health because you aren't recovering from those workouts. And if strength and muscle gain is your goal, let's just take that for example. What happens when you go and train? You're breaking down tiny muscle fibers, which when you recover grow bigger and stronger, which means that you are actually making progress in the recovery part of this whole journey as opposed to when you actually train. I seen far better results training 3 to 4 times per week as opposed to when I was doing it 6 to 7 times a week. That's because I can actually go into each session feeling energized, recovered. I can push myself, I can train with intensity. When I was training every single day, when it got to day 5, day 6, or even day 7, I was so tired and fatigued. There was no way I was training as hard as I was on day 1. And also you are risking potentially getting injured because you haven't allowed your body to fully recuperate from that training. Your body is under more stress due to that exercise, and being under more stress can cause more injuries. So please plan in rest days. And the last pillar under creating a realistic schedule is to stay flexible. Life is freaking unpredictable, okay? It likes to throw curveballs at us very unexpectedly from all corners, and there will inevitably be days when your gym plans get derailed. Instead of getting discouraged, be prepared to adapt. If you miss a workout, don't sweat, just get back on track the next day. It's not the end of the world. I get this all the time from clients, like absolutely devastated for missing 1 or 2 sessions due to things that came up. A lot of the times it's being frustrated with things that they couldn't even control. So just to put it into perspective, your workouts, even if you're training 3 to 4, even like between 2 and 5 days a week, they only account for a tiny percentage of your overall week. What you do for the rest of the hours you are awake during that week really does matter as well. So like if you do tend to miss it for whatever reason, whether that has been because you came down with a sickness, whether you had family commitments, work commitments, it's fine. Just get back on track. Like that's when it comes to both exercise and eating, one thing that I always say to my clients, and actually something that I adapt myself, I'm okay with having quote unquote bad days, as in, some days I fuck up and my diet is like completely atrocious. And I don't beat myself up about it for the whole week. I just make sure that the next day is better. Or even better, if you find that you had intentionally planned a nutrient balanced meal but ended up having a takeaway, just move on in the following meal. If lunch didn't go as planned, we'll try again for dinner. And kind of the same principle. And the same goes with your activity levels. If one day you found yourself for whatever reason just not being as active as you had intended to, just try to be better the following day. Right, so that's on creating a realistic schedule. So we talked about setting your goals, knowing exactly where you're heading towards, how to actually create a routine that is sustainable and realistic for your lifestyle values and priorities. And now we will move on to finding the right motivation. When we are talking about motivation, we can split it into two segments. We have intrinsic motivation. So that is motivation that comes within. We're doing it for the sole purpose of like what we actually desired internally. And then we have extrinsic motivation, which are like external factors that motivate us. And there isn't a right or wrong. What I would say is when you can't find a true why that is coming like internally, you will probably be able to keep going for a longer period of time, especially during like hard times, because it is something that means so much to you. When it is external, then it might fade over time. And that's just what I've noticed from my fitness journey, where I definitely was externally or extrinsically motivated at the start when I got into it. And it was more so based on like comparison, wanting to look a certain way based on what I seen on social media and how my peers were looking, and having that perception in my head that a certain body size is going to bring me more happiness, more confidence. I had to learn it the hard way. And now the reason why I am exercising, I'm eating healthy, it's more so like looking at longevity and how I want to be 30-40 years down the line. But take some time to think about what truly motivates you to exercise, to undergo this fitness journey, to change your body composition if that is your goal, or to improve your health and well-being. Is it the feeling of accomplishment after a challenging workout, or the satisfaction of seeing progress over time, or perhaps the social aspect of working out with friends? Understanding your motivations will help you stay committed even when things get tough. Second thing is identifying drivers. So reflect on your personal reasons of wanting to improve your fitness, whether it's to feel more confident in your skin, set a positive example for your kids, or simply lead a healthier lifestyle. Connecting with your deeper motivations, and this is what I mentioned about intrinsic motivation, will keep you inspired on your fitness journey long term. Third thing is to visualize success. So imagine how you're actually going to feel when you reach that ultimate goal, or even when you're going to reach that milestone, whether it's running a marathon, fitting in your favorite pair of jeans, wearing a summer dress without being insecure about your arms or your legs, or simply feeling stronger and more energized. Actually picture yourself being at that end goal and how that is going to feel. Like, teleport yourself into the future and imagine you there, because you have all the potential to get there with the right steps, with the right structure, with the right plan, with the right habits, okay? But your mind is stronger than you think, and essentially your actions become your thoughts. And by you visualizing yourself being already there, you subconsciously will start to adapt the identity of that person in the future. So visualizing success can be a powerful motivator on days you're feeling a bit less motivated. And lastly, you want to find an accountability partner. Sometimes having somebody there to hold you accountable can make all the difference. Whether that's a workout buddy, a supportive friend, or a personal trainer, a coach, finding somebody that will cheer you on and keep you accountable and celebrate your victories with you along the way is such a powerful and underestimated thing. And again, like, I thought I could do it alone for such a long time, and not realizing how much I can benefit from having a coach that not only is going to take all the guesswork away from me, instead of me trialing and testing and spending years finding out what is the best thing for me, but also on those weeks where I really just didn't have any brain power to be acting in line with my goals, having somebody there just push me on, to reassure me, just give me that confidence even that I'm more than capable of achieving what I set out to achieve. I think as well, just from a self-belief perspective, it was absolutely incredible to be able to have that person to ask questions and just to keep me on track. Whenever I felt like I did fall off for a couple of days, they like brought me back to it. So whether it is a friend or a personal trainer or a coach, have that accountability from an external person. Don't put all the pressure on yourself to have it all together, because it's not if it will get hard, it's when things will get hard. So we talked about goals. We talked about creating a realistic routine, about finding the right motivation, and now onto the last thing is building habits. First of all, you gotta start small. I know it is so tempting to dive headfirst into a rigorous workout routine, but it's crucial to start small and gradually increase your intensity. And this year, I probably learned that the hard way. I began running and I was so determined to push myself and achieve longer distances, to run faster. And I'm not a runner. I've never ran past 5 kilometers before, but I just got this like spur of confidence that it's like, yes, you can do it. And I went from zero to running 15Ks, 16Ks in just a couple of weeks, 5, 6 weeks. And how did that end up? I picked up an injury. My knees just couldn't keep up with all the hard ground running I was doing, and then I had to pull out of my half marathon. So I guess I'm gonna learn on the mistake that when you are starting out with the goal, you just got to take it easy, and it might take longer, but at least doing it correctly and carefully, that is what is going to win the race. I always refer back to the analogy of the turtle and the hare going against each other in a race. You probably heard of the old folk tale. Basically, the hare being super confident that he is the fastest person among the two of them. He starts off, takes a break in the middle, and essentially falls asleep. The turtle, while moving at an extremely slow pace, he doesn't stop. And ultimately, who's the one that wins the race? The turtle. And that is the moral of the story. It's, you are far better off just going slowly, steadily, carefully, rather than just jumping into something carelessly and then not completing what you set out to complete. So it is absolutely crucial to start small and gradually increase intensity. Begin by committing to just a few days a week at the gym, even if it's for 20-30 minutes each session. Consistency is key. Okay, what I mentioned at the start, it's not about intensity, it's not about going all out for a whole week and then, taking us coming to a stop, but it's about focusing on making exercise a regular part of your routine. before you start ramping up the intensity. So it doesn't matter if you're only going 2 or 3 times per week for 20-30 minutes. Over time, that's going to build up. Second thing under building habits is to establish a routine. One of the best ways to ensure consistency is to incorporate exercise into your daily routine. Whether, like, I mentioned about figuring out when you're gonna exercise. Like, is that going to be first thing in the morning? Is it going to be during your lunch break? Is it going to be after work? Find a time that works for you and then stick to it. And the way I like to ensure that I get my workouts done, and I do this to this day, okay? And I've been in the gym 8 years. Probably 5 of them were super consistent, where I rarely miss sessions, unless it was out of my control. But what I do at the start of each week is I treat my workouts as if it was an appointment, and I schedule them into my Google Calendar. I time block them as well. So each Sunday I sit down. I'm currently doing 4 resistant training sessions. So I'm in the gym 4 days a week. On a Sunday, I look at my whole week and I'd be like, right, when am I fitting in those sessions? At what time? I'm blocking out times that I need to commute to the gym, and this is my time for me, for my workouts. It's getting done. When it's planned in the calendar, you will be less inclined to skip out on your workouts. You also want to apply a strategy, what I call habit stacking. It's very an effective way to make exercise or eating healthy or any kind of health and wellness habits actually stick. And that is to stack it on top of an existing routine or habit, okay? So for example, if you always have a cup of coffee in the morning, make it a habit to go to the gym right after you finish your coffee by linking your workouts with something that you're already doing regularly. And even better, if it's something that you actually enjoy doing, you'll be more likely to stick with it over the long term. And also, you want a strategy to overcome excuses, okay? Because let's be real, there will always be excuse not to work out. Always, especially at the start, you're going to be faced with resistance. You are embarking on a new journey. You are introducing something new into your life, and it's unfamiliar, and your body is going to be like, what the fuck is happening, okay? So there's always going to be an excuse not to do it, whether you're too tired, you're too busy, you're just not feeling like it today. But here's the thing, excuses won't get you any closer to the goal. And that is literally the reality of it. We just need to find way to actually do things we don't want to. We don't want our feelings to get in the way. There's going to be a lot of times where you're not going to be motivated, where you're not going to be feeling it. But if every single time you just listened to your feelings, then you wouldn't get anywhere. The key is to anticipate these challenges and have a plan in place to overcome them. Whether that is, using the method that I do in terms of scheduling your workouts in advance, or, kind of sharing your goals with a friend or workout buddy that if you don't show up, they are going to keep you accountable. It's having that personal trainer and scheduling in sessions with them, or having an online coach that checks in whether you do those workouts. You want to find strategies that work for you and then be able to stick with them. So that is on building habits, and habits basically establish a routine and then they establish the way you live your life. Okay, we covered a lot of things and a lot of strategies to help you stay consistent with the gym routine and with just living a life that is in line with your goals, whether that is improving your health, gaining muscle, dropping body fat, living a more fulfilled life. So we talked about setting clear goals, to creating a realistic schedule, to finding the right motivation and building lasting habits. So each step is designed to support you and your fitness journey. So I would, if you just listen to this episode from start to finish and you haven't been taking any notes, it might be a good idea to come back and listen to it and pause after each of the 4 steps that I talked about and actually do the work. Because if you are here to learn and if you are here to actually build consistency despite busy schedule and other priorities and commitments, then you need to treat this as an exercise. Don't just listen to it and allow it for it to go one year and out the other, but actually sit down and write out those goals, long term, short term. Have a look at your schedule, finding what actually motivates you, and then using different tips and strategies I talked about in terms of building habits. Remember, consistency is not about being perfect, it's about showing up, putting in the effort, and making progress no matter how small. It's normal to face challenges along the way, but with determination and the right strategies, you can overcome them and keep moving forward. So that is all from me for today, and it's definitely tips and strategies I wish I had starting out, because as I said, I've been in the gym and working on myself for the last 8 years, and about 5 of them have been consistent because I finally found what works in terms of actually building that consistency. But at the start, it has been really rocky because I didn't have a clue on what to do. And if I'm going to be totally honest, I probably haven't been putting in enough work to actually make it work. So you have all the information presented to you now. Now it's time to actually establish what is going to be most applicable to you and start showing up. Thank you so much for listening. If you did enjoy this episode, and it would mean the absolute world to me if you could share and subscribe and like. I shall see you in the next episode.